it's working.
Alright.
Yes, that's what we want to see. Alrighty. Welcome to the Midnight Gaming Council session number 25. My name is Padders, and here with me is Brad Sweden. How's it going, man?
Yeah, good. It's been a while.
It has been a while indeed. We've had other content since the last Midnight Gaming Council session, but yeah, this is
This is sort of a reboot in a way.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
The last couple of times I've been streaming instead of recording
Yep.
the sessions, so now we're streaming live to YouTube, so anyone can join in and watch us as we discuss PlayStation 5. Finally, next gen is upon us.
Yes.
Although it didn't feel like it was that long ago that PS4 was out, eh?
No, that's true.
But it's been how many years now? So PS4 and Xbox One came out in 2013. It's been 6 years.
6 years since then. Yeah.
So yeah, we're closer to next gen than we are further from it.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
True.
So the reason we're talking about PlayStation 5 is because about 4 or 5 days ago, Mark Cerny, who is the lead architect of the PlayStation 5, and he also designed the PlayStation 4, did an interview with Wired.com, and we have the interview here. We've actually printed this thing out. We're not looking at it on the computer or whatever. Go on, old school. So we have our notes. We also have other specifications of various PlayStation 4 models here. We can have a look at and discuss as we go through this.
True.
So I'm sure everyone's heard the news already or read about it, but we're going to go over it ourselves, and we're going to pick up some interesting points along the way. So I'm not going to read out the whole interview that Mark Cerny did, but we'll pick up the points that we have.
Don't want to fall asleep.
No, because it is 6 pages long
Yes.
of just stuff. But the first highlighted bit. So, it is not coming out next year. Sorry, this year. 2019. I thought we're still in 2018.
Oh.
It'd be nice if we were. But we're not. It is 2019. And yeah, Mark Cerny said it is not coming out in 2019. So, it's not going to come out this Christmas. You're not going to get Call of Duty, whatever number we're up to. It's not going to come out in PS5 this year or whatever. It might come out next year. They're not saying yet if there's going to be a release date or anything. Would you think next year would be pretty...
Normally,
Yeah.
I think the launch windows around sort of, that October, late October, sort of, from memory.
It
I
was
think the
last time,
one
yes.
was, yeah. So
Last time it was.
probably around then again, I would say.
If it was going to come out next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably get if they were going to do that, we'll probably get an announcement either at the end of this year, maybe early next year.
Possibly. Yeah.
Because if you remember last year, they left it pretty late
Yeah.
for the announcements, like PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah.
I think that was
true.
like earlier in the year.
Yes, that's right.
But I expect them to come out like 2021, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly.
I think 2020 is too early.
Just to get a bit more longevity out of the existing hardware.
Yes,
Yeah.
because the gen previous to this one,
Yeah.
PS3 and 360, lasted like 7 years or so.
Yeah, it's true.
7, 8 years.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty long one. So we're already 6 years in. I would think this gen would last longer. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
because we have the refresh with the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X,
Yeah.
I would say that that will give
That'd
it some
be a fair assumption.
longevity.
Yeah, of course.
So maybe 2021, 2022, still got a few years away.
Yeah.
I feel like there's still some games that have to come out that
Yeah, just going back to sort of the previous gen, you had those sort of games coming out just before the transition into the next generation that really pushed the boundaries of the hardware.
Yes, exactly.
And you got games that looked like incredible, and then you had like GTA 5 come out on PS3, which looked incredible, and now you got, obviously it's been reworked and now it's on current gen, but these are the sorts of games that actually push the hardware to really the limits, and I don't know if they are being fully pushed to the limits at the moment in some cases, but I mean it's...
No, there is definitely still more to come
Yeah.
from these consoles.
Yeah.
Because a good example that's coming out soon, Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah.
Looking at the difference on that and Mortal Kombat 10, which came out 4 years ago,
Yeah.
there is a substantial leap in just graphics and fidelity and
That's
just
true.
content and all that sort of
Well,
thing.
games are always getting prettier now, though. So, yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So I feel that there's other game franchises and series out there that would still benefit from this.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto being one of them. Because number 5 was, as you say, on last gen.
Yeah.
It hasn't been on this gen yet. So
Well,
Grand Theft Auto 6, if that came out this gen, that'd be like, hey, I'd imagine that would be absolutely fantastic.
There are a few like current gen games now that are standouts from memory, like in terms of pushing graphical boundaries, like Red Dead Redemption 2. That game is just
Yes.
absolutely just gobsmackingly beautiful.
So that's come out
Yeah.
6 years into the lifespan at the
Yeah,
moment,
yeah.
and it's at that point where it's like, oh yeah, this is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Whereas 4 years ago or so, if you had like ports or the early generation games like Grand Theft Auto 5, let's say,
Yeah.
a bit of a difference,
Yeah, that's
even
right.
though that game is still pretty and vast open world sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 is obviously
Yeah.
a step up from that.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So no new console soon. It is not coming out this year. Moving on to the next point in the interview here.
Yeah.
He goes on, Mark Cerny goes on to talk about the CPU and GPU. They're obviously going to be more powerful. There'll be a leap. There always is a leap with generations and stuff. But in terms of the specs, it will be based on the third generation of AMD's Ryzen chips, or the line.
I'm pretty sure that's soon to be released as well, the third generation, because
Third-
in the PC one anyway.
The
That sort of hardware.
based on the 7 nanometer Zen 2 micro architecture.
Ah, yes.
So
Is that referring to GPU or the CPU?
it is the CPU. That
Okay.
one it is.
Okay,
The GPU is a custom variant of the Radeon's Navi family, or
Okay.
Navi
yeah.
family.
Maybe. Okay, yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's out yet or not. I didn't actually look too much into what the PC landscape is in terms of the graphics and stuff, because these new generations of consoles will obviously be based on the PC sort of hardware again,
Yeah.
like they were for the PS4 and Xbox One,
Yeah,
which is
thereabouts, yeah.
which is obviously it was a benefit for everyone, developers and consumers, because the consoles were cheaper, the games were easier to develop for, all this sort of stuff. So it's basically just going to be a continuation of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, third generation AMD Ryzen. I think it is coming out soon,
Yeah.
because the ones I've been looking up on PC Case Gear and whatnot, any other websites that we look up for PC parts,
Yeah.
I think it is the second generation.
Yeah, because I've got second generation, Ryzen CPU. I've got the 2600.
Yeah,
That
which is
was the
2600.
model,
Yeah. And when did you pick that up?
that would have been just before Christmas last year.
So it felt relatively recent.
Yeah, recently, yeah. Or
So,
maybe
yeah.
just after. I can't remember, but anyway.
So it makes sense
Yeah.
that I guess this would be on the upcoming. It would be based on the upcoming
Oh, yeah,
architecture.
well, that would make more sense because they would have revised it to be better performing, and they'll tweak it somehow to make it better performance than the previous gen.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did with second generation. It was just an improvement on the first
on the
lot.
first.
Yeah.
So the third would just be
yeah.
that again, and just better. And no, that's good. And they're moving to the 7 nanometer process, which,
Yeah.
well, it's good.
Yeah. Small.
Very small, but yeah, less heat,
Yeah,
whatever, like
yeah,
all that technical sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next bit, which is kind of neat. The console will support ray tracing, apparently.
Yeah, that's
So-
being pushed pretty hard at the moment.
It is. So Nvidia pushed their ray tracing RTX cards. Was that last year or so? Year before?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was
Sometime last year.
yeah.
They
And then
were
there's-
they were pretty expensive. I remember.
They've brought out revisions of it. Like they brought out the 2060. I think it was this year, like a little bit early on, and that dropped the price down because they were quite expensive cars at the time. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah. So there's not many games supporting ray tracing at the moment.
yeah,
But,
that's probably maybe a handful.
Yeah. But what's good now is that if the console support ray tracing, then there's an incentive there for developers to make more games with ray tracing capabilities,
That's
especially
true.
if it's just like that out of the box.
Yeah, that's right.
And obviously, over the next few years, when PC players update their cards and they get cards with ray tracing capabilities, it'll just be a common thing.
Because at the moment, like the problem that they're having with ray tracing is like they really sap the performance of the cards. Like the takes a lot more sort of rendering power to get the graphics sort of going at a high frame rate. So
Yes.
it takes a frame rate hit.
Well, I'm sure by the time these consoles are out, that sort of like it'll be ironed out and just worked on. And, but no, that is fantastic news, because
Yeah.
ray tracing, the benefits, I guess, just to sum it up, it makes lighting look better. So it makes just graphics in general look better.
Oh, some
More
of the
natural.
visuals,
Yeah.
they look incredible. Like
So-
almost like realistic.
Yeah. Like, I know we say that with every generation or so. It's like, oh, how good are these graphics? But no, seriously, it's at that point where it's like, oh yeah, that actually looks like a real life image or photo or
That's
movie or
true.
whatever.
Yeah.
So what else does he say quickly here? So Mark Cerny also mentions briefly that the ray tracing will also benefit audio and not just visuals.
Okay.
So, because basically what a ray tracing is, I guess, if you were to shoot like a ray through the scene of a game, and you can imagine that being like either a light source or an audio source, so it's able to travel through the environment and sort of interact with objects more naturally,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah,
So
there's been different methods of doing it, like having multiple light sources or a singular light source. But,
yes, many graphics tricks out there from people who are smarter than us, making video games that we love to play.
Sure.
And talk about here on the Midnight Gaming Council. So, yeah, he just talks about the audio, like how you can do audio, so you can hear enemies better and this and that. And that also leads into the fact that the PlayStation 5, if they call it PlayStation 5, which I'm sure they will, I can't see them calling it anything else.
Oh, they won't do a Microsoft and go, oh, it's going to be the Xbox 720 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, just something stupid. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure it'll be like a.
Or Fallout 4 to 76. That sort of
Yeah, just PlayStation 76. Cool. Hopefully they don't do like what they did with the Vita, let's say, and they just like give it a name. Like, what are you going to call it? PlayStation, like the code name for the PS4 was Morpheus, I believe.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That, or was it the PSVR? I think it was the PSVR actually. Either way, one of them was codenamed Morpheus. So I guess that's kind of cool for a console, but yeah, I'd rather it just be PS5. I mean, it's good that they stuck it for the PS4. So go PS5.
They always come up with pretty good code names for like the consoles. Like I know with the Xbox One X, I think it was Scorpio, and then they printed Scorpio Edition on those and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
they do that with PS5 and whatever.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, like PS4 Pro, or you can do PS5 something.
Yeah.
Give it a name like that. Yeah, I guess that'll work too. So yeah, they'll have a 3D audio chip, the PlayStation 5, which is what I was getting at. So basically, 3D audio is used in virtual reality at the moment. So it basically gives you more natural sounding audio. So when you're listening with headphones, obviously, you get the most benefit with headphones. It's better than just having like 7.1 surround sound or whatever. It's like the processing that is done, I guess, via the console or the audio or the game engine or whatever. Yeah. It just makes it sound better.
Yeah.
Which is good, just in general. You will be able to use the 3D audio on normal sound systems though. So like your sound system you got out there, the soundbar, the 7.1 soundbar.
Yeah.
That will be able to utilize, I guess, the 3D audio processing that's been used in the game, and will give you just better sound through the speakers. Like, it will give you more depth, I guess. It's like you'll be able to pinpoint sounds a bit better. Like, it's over there.
It'll be interesting to see PlayStation bring across Atmos, which is like another sound format.
Yes, well,
which is what Xbox has currently got actually. One X.
Considering he is Mark Cerny, he's talking up audio improvements for the next PlayStation. They could well add Atmos support, or other audio what are they called, codecs, whatever standards that are out there.
Sure.
Yeah, that could be possible.
Yep.
Especially for you. He does want to talk up the fact that between PS3 and PS4 there wasn't a massive leap in audio, and there kind of wasn't. In terms of like, it had 7.1 surround sound still, and this and that optical. It was probably the same with the 360 to Xbox One as well.
Yeah.
Basically. But yeah, no, more audio, a better audio is good. Nothing wrong with that at all.
No, true.
I just hope there's better and easier connectivity with certain headsets and this and that. Because I don't know what they've done on the Xbox, but on the PlayStation 4 they got rid of the Bluetooth support, so you can't just have a Bluetooth headset unless you have the USB dongle.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about there.
Yeah, garbage.
It's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's always good to have that option where you can just directly link to the console without having to add like any other attachments and all that sort of thing. It's just unnecessary now. I mean, we should be getting to the point where our machines are like PCs. And you can have, the option to put Bluetooth in it, or
basically, I agree. Like just, especially with the plug and play nature of USB, like headsets and keyboards and whatever, just peripherals and stuff.
Yeah, it's a hassle.
Yeah. So surely you can make it easier for us, Sony/Microsoft. Give us some damn options.
True.
So next up, just quickly about the PSVR. He didn't really say much about PSVR and PS5. But he did say that the current PSVR headset will be compatible with the PS5. So that's pretty interesting. He doesn't talk about if there's any other controllers will be compatible. He doesn't say if the like DualShock 4, for example, will carry over.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that will have any changes to it.
Yeah.
There was a rumor I heard that they might add like a camera to it or something to help with the tracking for like VR or whatever.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, an interesting addition. Otherwise, I think I hope it's the same, just same design.
Yeah.
I just want the same thing, just literally the same thing. Because they kept the same between PS1, 2, and 3, essentially.
Yeah.
Why not do it for 4, 5, and 6?
True.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be good.
Yes, it would. Same with the Xbox, I hope. I can't see them changing it. Maybe they'll have a touchpad.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what they do in the next controller.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the Xbox One controller was basically a revision of the 360 one. So I mean, it's
if they revise it again, or if they keep it, or
mm,
hopefully they've landed on the design that they want to sort of stick with.
it just seems like it's just ergonomics, basically, just making it just more and more comfortable to hold, and getting rid of things like the protruding battery packs was the main thing that they got rid of, which was good.
Absolute nightmare on the 360 controller. Everything else about it was not bad except that bloody battery pack.
Oh, it's a pain.
But yes, the PS5, the PSVR current headset will be compatible with the PS5, and I hope they do release I'm sure they will release a PS like VR2 headset that'll just have extra fidelity and whatnot. But yeah, VR is absolutely fantastic, and I like that Sony is still going to support it. So, next thing that I've highlighted out of Mark Cerny's interview, we're about halfway. There's still some interesting facts. Actually, the best interesting thing to come will be soon. So yes, actually we're up to it now. It's about the hard drive. So, one thing with the current gen consoles now is that you have to install all the games onto the hard drive. And the reason for that is because if you want better graphics, you need to push more data from the console, from the game, from the hard drive, whatever. You need to push more data into the console itself so it processes it, and then it, streams.
So it's faster,
so it goes to
and
the
then
TV.
it comes into the game. Yeah.
Exactly, because a hard drive is faster than a CD. So if you're reading from a CD, you can't, read the data as quick.
Yeah, that's right.
As
It's
you
all
can
about
from a hard
read-write speed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Read, write, input, output, all that sort of technical stuff. We're trying to simplify it here for anyone who's listening or will listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to install all the games off the disc. And what Mark Cerny is alluding to for the PS5 is that it'll have a SSD drive as standard.
Okay.
So for the for like the games essentially. So because this is a continuation of the PS4 architecture, more or less, it's just more beefed up. So you still have to install all your games and stuff. But apparently, when Mark Cerny was chatting with studios about what they would like to see with the PlayStation 5, one of the big things that they asked for was, can we have a solid state drive or SSD drive? Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I was right. The acronym there is correct. And basically he was giving examples about how on Spider-Man for the PS4, when you're fast traveling to a place, it takes 15 seconds to load up wherever you're fast traveling to.
Yeah.
So he did that on a PS4 Pro as like a demonstration to the person who was conducting the interview.
Yeah.
And then he did that same maneuver, like the fast travel, on a PlayStation 5, the next gen, whatever the console's called, the dev kit. And it took less than 1 second to do the same thing.
Wow, that's impressive. That's good.
Pretty brutal, actually, yes.
Yeah.
So there is a massive leap of performance difference there of running the Spider-Man game, which I'm not sure which version he says they were playing, whether it was like the PS4 Pro version or whatever. Doesn't really matter. It's still a massive difference there.
I mean, even if you chuck like a standard SSD in a PS4, you'd still get a decent performance boost there.
Yes, up to a third.
Yeah.
Mark Cerny basically alludes to here with putting an SSD into a PlayStation 4, essentially.
Yeah.
But more in line with that, basically, why he wants to make the SSD standard and push it for the developers is he's apparently the SSD design, the raw bandwidth of the SSD will be higher than any SSD on the market today.
Alright.
So it's basically going to be the fastest SSD. That's what Sony is aiming for.
That's alright.
Yes, which makes me think that maybe they're actually going to use the SSD as more of a like a temporary sort of loading thing.
Yeah.
So it'll have normal hard drives for your game installs, and when the game you want to play, it sort of moves it to the SSD or something. Because imagine having a 2 terabyte SSD in the console. That'd be expensive. Which makes me think that maybe Sony will take a loss on that. if they want to keep the price down.
Well, I think most of the manufacturers are taking a loss. I mean, Microsoft have been putting in that 4K Blu-ray drive in their consoles now, and you wonder how much a loss they're going to make putting those in, and now they just released that digital version of the console, which
Yeah.
doesn't have the drive
With
at all.
no drive
so,
in it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be interesting to find out, I guess.
Yeah.
I would think that, though, by this point, especially with the One X out as well, I'm sure those consoles would be somewhat profitable.
yeah.
But still, having an SSD drive is fantastic, but it will bump up the price. But I'm sure Sony will work out a way to keep the price down. Because rumours are that it will be about $500 again, this next-gen PlayStation, which, if that's the case...
Yeah, you want to keep it consistent. You don't want to push it too high.
You don't want to do what they did with PS3 and make it, $1,000 here in Australia when it came out.
That's what turned me off it in the beginning, to be honest.
I'm sure it turned off a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially when the 360 was already out,
Yeah.
and it was like half the price almost. And it already had games, it already had like Halo and stuff, all that sort of shit. He also says that the console will support 8K graphics, but I think that means more so it'll support an 8K output, so like it'll upscale what's happening to 8K. We're barely getting native 4K graphics in games, like in PC or console. So 8K is,
It's so hard to push it at the moment with the hardware, like
It
60
is.
frames even.
With the 60 frames, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
You have to compromise it,
Yeah.
whether it's the frame rate or the graphic fidelity or the textures or whatever. To run at 4K, yeah, you gotta...
I noticed what some games are doing, like they choose obviously between frame rate or bumping the graphics up higher, the resolution higher.
Yes.
So they go,
they give you the option.
they either give you 60 frames a second at full HD, or they give
Or
you
you
30
can have
frames
30
at
with
4K.
4K or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Options...
Seems to be the compromise.
Options like that are cool.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes the game won't run how you want it, and you want something else. So yeah, it's not bad. It's like on PC where you can choose, I guess, your like options in games for like the graphics and stuff. But yeah, it's a bit like that, which is cool.
Yeah.
We might get that again for next gen. I assume we will. But yeah, support 8K graphics. So if you get fucking an 8K telly or monitor, and you get an next gen console, well, yeah.
God.
But
just try and spot the pixel. You just can't.
No,
It's
no such thing.
Too perfect.
It's just a window.
Yeah.
Very nice. So moving on to the next thing. Yeah, so just more about the SSD. Yeah, I said before that the SSD will be pretty much the fastest SSD on the market. Mark Cerny pretty much says here, the raw read speed is important, but so are the details of the input and output, like read speeds and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's all good stuff there.
Mm.
So we're on to the final stretch here of the interview and some more details. Yes, but basically Mark Cerny also confirms that because it's based on the PS4 architecture, this next-gen console, it will be backwards compatible with PlayStation 4, which is very neat. So
You would hope so.
well, yeah, I mean, there's no
Yes,
reason why
yeah,
it sort of can't
yeah,
be now, especially if
yeah.
they want to push a PS4 Pro, which is a bit better than the last one, this and that. So yeah, it just makes sense that it's backwards compatible, so that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Just pop in the disc and it's like playing on a PS4.
There won't be any of that horrible trying to get the cell processor architecture running on the PS4, which is just a nightmare.
No, yeah, well, that wasn't ever gonna. That's never gonna happen. At least with Microsoft, they're able to work out their own thing with the backwards compatibility, which is neat. But yeah, this is how it should be, which is what Nintendo have done here and there with their backwards compatibility, because the Wii had the GameCube compatibility, then the Wii U had the Wii compatibility, and the Game Boys were all pretty much backwards compatible to a certain point. So yeah, that's the way to go. And then there are rumors recently that Sony will make the PS5 backwards compatible with all PlayStation games.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is, yeah. It almost sounds too good to be true, that one.
Yeah.
But there have been enough rumors and sort of patent designs, this and that, I guess you can say, that there could be some truth to that.
It does make sense, because I mean, the more powerful hardware would be able to push
The other
what the
like
previous
consoles
gens would be able to do.
exactly at a certain
some
point.
Yeah.
Basically, a lot of the work, all the rumors that we've seen are related to how the CPU works. So it kind of like, basically, a way to describe it is the CPU changes itself on the fly when it recognizes a certain games in the console. So it's like, oh, okay, this is a PS2 game. We've got to change how we read the game. So it's like a dynamic CPU, which yeah, I'm not a programmer, so I have no idea if this sort of stuff is going to work. But yeah, good on them if that's the case.
In theory, it should. Yeah.
So it's based on the PS4 architecture, and we have some specs here. We'll just go with the PS4 Pro specs because that's the yeah that's the PlayStation at the moment, the most powerful one you can get.
Yeah.
It's got 8 core AMD processor based on the Jaguar architecture, and its GPU has 4.2 teraflops of processing power,
Yeah.
compared to the base model PlayStation 4, which has 1.8 teraflops of data, processing data, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's a big jump there. I don't know what the PlayStation 5 will have. Maybe that'll have like at least double.
Well, the Xbox, put it in perspective.
What's the Xbox One X have? Do you know?
That has 6
teraflops of processing.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, and that came out a year after the PS4 Pro.
So they've only increased it by like 1.2
Yeah,
teraflops.
well, to be fair, it's a 30% increase.
Yeah,
Because
it's
4
substantial.
to 6, yeah. So at that level, it's a 30% increase. So yeah, it's been a couple of years since then, or 1.5 years.
Yeah.
So we could see them above 10 teraflops.
Yeah.
That'd be neat. Twice as powerful as a PS4 Pro, but in real terms, it'll be like probably 5 times as powerful, something like that. Because generations are about 10 times as powerful as each other. So if we had a new generation, it'll be powerful either way.
Yeah, it'll have to be if it's pushing 8K. That's just
if they want to
nuts.
say it's got 8K, yeah, it's got to have at least something to,
Oh.
What are you going to run Microsoft Word on it or something like? Jeez.
Play games like you're flipping through a notepad, looking at what's happening in each section. That would be pretty bad.
Exactly. So, just some other specs, I guess, what we can look forward to with the PlayStation 5. PS4, the Pro and the base one have 8 gigabytes of memory.
Okay.
The Xbox One X has 12. So that was a more substantial jump.
You really notice that with the performance of the operating system, because I noticed that like on the One X, it's completely seamless. Like you can press the guide button and you can go through the menus. Whereas like you and me have noticed that when we played Black Ops 4 on the PlayStation 4, it's so laggy when you hit the middle button, like to get into the PlayStation menus.
That one's pretty bad. The Black Ops 4 one.
Yeah.
That's basically as you were saying, it's because of the more RAM and stuff.
Yeah.
Because PS4, I think, has 1 gigabyte of RAM exclusively for the operating system.
Yeah.
So the Xbox One X has probably got like 2, maybe 3. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got more RAM, so obviously it will run better.
We'll utilise more of it. Yeah, that's right.
So if that's got 12 gigabytes, I suspect that these next generation consoles will come with at least 16.
It has to.
At least 16.
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if it comes with 24.
Yeah.
But that's a big jump.
Yeah.
But when you consider, off memory, I was thinking about this today. The PS3 had 512 megabytes of RAM. PS4, 8 gigabytes. So what jump is that? That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's like 8 times, 10 times, whatever. So what's 8 times 8? It's like 64 gig. That seems too much.
No,
that jump's not going to happen.
No.
But 24 might be like, if one of them come out and say, yeah, we've got 24 gigabytes of RAM in our console. Jeez.
It depends on how much the game's using as well on the operating system. I mean, you would just think that 16 is just the logical number, like because you don't find that. I mean, even now, like games that I'm running on my PC, that's got 16 gigabyte of RAM. It's not eating all of it.
Yes.
I've still got about 4 to 6 gig
like
just
sort of
not
free?
being used. Yeah. So,
yeah, that's a good point there. Actually, I guess the more RAM is good for if you're running lots of applications.
That's right.
But if you're playing on a console, you're only running a game.
Yeah, that's right.
So you could probably get away with just having 16 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right. It's what the developers want to do with the hardware and
that is true. And what they need,
how they're going to push
what they
it.
want.
Yeah.
But 16 probably sounds about right. Yeah. Nice. They probably want other things like the SSD drive, I guess.
Yeah.
Is more important for pushing that data.
Yeah.
So you can get better, faster, just better graphics, more graphics. Because I'm guessing like, can you imagine fast traveling through the next Elder Scrolls, and if the graphics are like lifelike,
8K.
8K. If it's like they make an 8K version for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah, going that ridiculous. Yeah, you need to be able to push all that data when you're sort of traveling. Otherwise, it's going to be choppy and like things are gonna you're gonna get pop in like from games from the 90s and the early 2000s, where like you get pop-in and stuff like that doesn't really exist anymore.
Pop-in's so bad, particularly like textures just failing to load. Like
Actually, that
when you
seems to
enter
be
an area, which seems to be a
that's
problem
more
now.
what it is these days. Yeah, it's not so much stuff popping onto the screen; it's the textures getting clearer or.
I've
or
noticed it with Tom Clancy's A Division 2. Like some areas, it takes like I don't know if it's because of the online connection. Like it's always online.
Yes.
Like you'll move into an area and textures seem really blurry and fuzzy, and things don't appear how they should be at the time you enter, and you're just like, oh, this looks terrible. And then when it loads, you're like, oh, okay, this looks excellent. But
yes.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
So that's a perfect example of what they will fix with an SSD on the next gen. If
Yeah.
they're able to push the data faster, the load times just won't be there.
True.
Because in the demonstration that Mark Cerny did with Spider-Man in the interview, when he was fast traveling through the world, or going through the world with the next generation development kit, he made a point of pausing in the middle of like the swings and stuff that Spider-Man does, and just looking around at all the textures and stuff and buildings and all that, and everything was absolutely perfect. Apparently, I mean,
Wow.
I mean, we weren't there, but yeah, it's just the fact that they're able to push that data, I guess, so quick. It'll be a big benefit. He also, I don't know whether he made a point about it or other people have talked about this on YouTube. Because it is basically going to be a PlayStation 4 as well, because it's backwards compatible, there'll be a lot of games that will come out for both consoles as well. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, like they sort of did with this gen a lot. They had a lot of
sort
remasters.
that crossover period as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this gen will be a bit, I guess it might be a bit easier to sort of, maybe they'll be able to patch PS4 games to have like a PS5 patch, like they did for the Pro.
Yeah, I do remember what you're talking about there. Like with Call of Duty Ghosts, I remember having the PS3 disc for that and having to put that in my PS4 as a key to play the game. For God's sake.
That's right. I'm not sure if any other games did that, but that was a perfect example. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really rare case, I reckon.
I think it was.
I don't think too many did that, if any.
No.
Yeah.
But we could see things like that for this gen, like whether the games just don't come out yet for PS5 because you can get the PS4 version and it upgrades, or you can upgrade to the PS5 version if you buy the PS4, or just whatever.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. But the fact that it's backwards compatible is fantastic. Another thing I want to point out here is the graphics. So it runs it's an AMD. It's based on a Radeon architecture. It's integrated into the APU, so it's got that like the CPU GPU thing that's together or whatever.
Yeah. They do a lot of sort of APUs.
Yes, especially these days. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
On the laptop side of things as well.
It's kind of like the what's in the Nintendo Switch at the moment, because that's like a hybrid sort of chip there. It's like
that's the NVIDIA Maxwell things.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's running at 800 megahertz on the PS4. On the PS4 Pro, it's running at 911 megahertz, which doesn't sound like much, but the consoles are specialized, so raw horsepower isn't everything.
It's custom clock speed, kind of,
yeah. And the SSD apparently with the PlayStation 5 will be sort of tailored as much as these graphics and the CPU is as well. So the whole system will just be a quite powerhouse, I'd say.
Yeah.
Do you know off the top of your head what the megahertz are for the graphics in the Xbox One or the One X?
No, I wouldn't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I'm just wondering what we might be able to push for next gen with the megahertz, but it doesn't really matter, I guess.
Yeah.
It's more the teraflops that people are sort of all in on.
Yeah, raw power.
That's right.
Specs, yeah.
One thing here though, I guess that's interesting. The CPU clock speed for the base model PS4 is 1.6 gigahertz. The PS4 Pro is 2.1 gigahertz. Yep. So I guess they might push 3 gigahertz for next gen. A 3 gigahertz 8 core 64 bit.
You wouldn't see why they wouldn't, because I mean, you can buy CPUs now that are about just over $200, and they can easily push 3.6, 3.9 like on turbos. So that's custom. I mean, some have unlocked multipliers, so you can push it even harder if you want to.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what architecture they're using. It was the Ryzen architecture, so this was based on, like, I guess you could say laptop architecture, like the PS4 and stuff. I mean, because the PS5 is a continuation like that, but with updated, like the Ryzen technology and stuff. So it will be closer to a desktop, I guess. PC, like the lines are gonna forever blur.
Yeah,
but because yeah, like with PC now we get like ray tracing and 4K graphics is standard and all
Now,
that.
yeah.
So these consoles will sort of bring that to sort of the mainstream and sort of push that as a standard. Going, get ray tracing 4K, that's all that's all good to go.
Yeah.
And then PC again will in a few years sort of push whatever's new, like 8K or any other graphics sort of tricks and things like. Yeah, we had HDR sort of the last few years, were just sort of coming in and trying to do its thing, and
vibrant colours and all that.
yeah,
sort of
like
thing,
yeah, but it's sort of a half-assed thing where like some consoles support it, some don't. Like all PS4s support it, not all the Xboxes do, I don't think. And then you got certain movies that do, and it's like okay, whatever. Then you need a 4K tally,
and then you need that TV to support HDR.
the right HDR as
Yeah.
well. Like it's all just a bit of a mess at the moment. But hopefully
Yeah.
next gen, that as well as other features are more standardized and good to go.
I reckon it's still going to be a while before people start buying 8K sets as well, because they're going to be priced fairly,
Yeah, at the moment I think the cheapest
Sure.
one's like 8K,
yeah,
like $8,000. I think.
yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
think the what was it? The Samsung one was released recently.
Yes, that's the Samsung one.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
$8,000 or something for an 8K tally. I don't even have a 4K tally yet, so not all of us, not everyone's at 4K yet, or the right 4K or whatever. So yeah, it's still a transitional thing. But yeah, if they're already, I guess like it's got the support for the 8K for next gen. So it's more like if you've got the 8K tally, you can utilize its upscaling, because there's not going to be like much for 8K soon anyway.
You seriously, like, I don't know how big a difference it's going to be until you see it like in person.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, even for me now, 4K looks excellent. Like,
Yeah, 4K is very pretty.
but again, it's about what the consoles are pushing at the moment. I mean, it depends on the game. Like
Yes.
some resolutions are lower, and you can really see that on
You
a
can
4K
like the
screen.
dynamic resolution, or if
Yeah.
it's lower than a 4K. So
And
yeah,
then things start to go a bit blurry, and you think it doesn't look as good as what it should, or you can even get away with just having like a 1440p monitor to play games now, and it just
Yes.
looks perfect. And then you get the frame rate as well if you want. So,
yeah. Well, I
that's,
think with the power of the next gen ones, these PlayStation 5 and Xbox. What are we gonna call the next Xbox? The Xbox 2. We'll call it the Xbox 2, even
Yeah,
though the
just-
360 was the second one. We're not up to 360 Xboxes yet though.
Yeah.
Whatever.
yeah, that's true.
But what was I gonna say? Yeah, so yeah, hopefully with the power of the next gen consoles, 4K is basically standard as the graphic. Like this, just standard across all the games.
That'll be the base, and then you'd be pushing it upwards from 4K.
there,
Yeah.
like we are today with like upwards from HD to 4K, and you got the in between like dynamic resolutions or whatever for the certain games. But yeah, hopefully next gen you'll be able to get games like Call of Duty, for example, where they can push a 4K 60 frames per second standard, and it's basically what we get today in terms of the graphic fidelity and what we get with our 4K, like our 60 FPS or whatever, but pushing it even more so for like proper next gen.
Oh.
But yeah, next gen is coming. This is very, very exciting times.
Even just pushing something like just beyond 4K on a bigger screen would look incredible, I reckon. Like, you wouldn't
would,
be able
wouldn't
to just... I think we'll start to get to the point where it's just, the lines are so fine that it's just indistinguishable, and you'll just be like, oh, okay, well, this looks great. Like,
Yeah, we're basically kind of there now.
Yeah.
If you've got a 4K monitor that's like less than 32 inches, it looks pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
Basically, what the big resolutions will do is allow you to just have much bigger screens and not lose any, I guess, fidelity. So
Yeah,
like
that's right.
an 8K tally that's like 200 inches or whatever, just something stupid,
Yeah.
and it'll look like it'll look like a 4K tally or something, just look crisp. But yeah,
I was actually having this discussion with the girlfriend the other day. I was like, oh, remember when like the first lot of full HD screens came out? You could get like the biggest sizes, but the resolution, it just didn't look good.
no, it
like
didn't.
on the
Those early
bigger
ones,
screens,
especially like when it was like some were 720, some were 1080, and yeah, you get like a 50-inch or whatever, but it would look like the old tallies,
Yeah.
like the same sort of look.
Like
but
it'll
it's
look
obviously bigger.
obviously clean, but I mean, it's not something that you'll go, oh yeah,
That
looks crisp.
That looks
or,
crisp. Yeah, 4K is definitely that.
Yeah.
It's like even back in the day, if you had a good TV and it was running like a Blu-ray, like sometimes it would look that looks sick.
Yeah.
But these days 4K is definitely like that.
Oh, definitely.
And we'll see what 8K wants to do, I guess, in the future.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap things up there
Yeah.
for our PlayStation 5 discussion. the first of many, I guess, when more information comes out, and over the next few years when we get more, information, rumors, we might get some design, drawings, or I don't know.
Some leaks from somewhere.
Some leaks, absolutely. Well, Sony aren't doing a presentation at E3 this year, unfortunately, so they're not going to sort of give any more news or whatever.
That's worrying. What's happening to E3 at the moment? Like so many it's just people pulling out left, right, and
companies
center.
and publishers are doing their own thing instead of all doing it there.
Yeah.
But Nintendo, I think, started that by doing their own treehouse crap. But yeah, that's next month or two. So any E3 news, I guess we may discuss it. We may not. It depends what happens.
Yeah, exactly right.
But we'll wrap things up here on the Midnight Gaming Castle, session number 25. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. Catch you guys. Those are not gunshots.